Welcome. This is Astrology Insight Now. It's a weekly forecast program with astrology and a guided meditation activation to help you make the most of your week and to heighten confidence for daily life. It's run by Pamela Cuccinell, that's me, the astrologer, and Susie Mazzoli, Master Healer. We invite you to find out more about our individual work, Susie Mazzoli, susiemazzoli.com, or insightoasis.com for astrology. We look forward to your joining us every week. Please share with your friends. Here we go.
Welcome, everybody. Here we are running through the middle of the year already. And Pamela is going to let us know all about the week starting July the 8th, 2024. This is week 28 of this year. And then I will be back for our little short 10-minute meditation. Okay, Pam, how is it looking for us this week?
Oh my gosh. Well, as you all know, the changes continue, and this week is I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This week is a volatile week. So we need to be in action mode. The new moon happened last week in the new moon in Cancer. So as of this week, we're in waxing moon cycle, which is about creating. When we're in the waxing moon cycle, we are aiming to accomplish things. We put things in motion. We ideally go forward with things that we want to proceed with, and we get to points of courage and full standing on things that we are moving from very consciously. And this is a time, as we've been talking about at length, when just globally, each individual does have an effect on the outcome of the whole. So, I mean, we always do. It's just now, it's particularly important for people to feel self-empowered, because there's a lot of pushback or messaging that people are powerless. So it's very important to work with pieces of self, because when I say this is a challenging week, yes, some of us will definitely be encountering situations outside of us. People who don't want us to do certain things that we want to do, people that are in our way, situations that feel difficult and fraught, things that come up unexpectedly. This is especially hot on July 8th, when we can find ourselves in situations where people seem argumentative or simply are not listening. The moon is in the sign of Leo. There are pictures in the sky as the moon travels between Mars and Uranus that are challenging. And we want to focus on the energy of what the moon in Leo is telling us. Be creative. Think in terms of play. No, you don't necessarily want to play with the guy whose arms are crossed and glowering at you at the entrance of a place you want to proceed into. There are ways to negotiate, speak, cajole, work with someone. The surprise element and confrontation element of Monday can be negotiated, massaged, manipulated in ways that basically bring happy surprises, outcomes that are unexpected, but only if we pay attention to how we're reacting, what's going on with the other person or situation. And the most important thing to keep in mind this week as we are encountering situations, because that's another way to look at challenges or problems, is how am I, the individual, reacting to that situation? Is it something that I am up in arms and pushing against? Or is it something that I am teasing out, welcoming, figuring out how to work around? So that's where the creative play comes in on especially Monday. And it can set up an orientation for us in which to deal with the rest of the week. On Tuesday, the 9th, oh, and the times I give are Eastern time. So anyone who's not in the Eastern time zone will need to adjust. So on Tuesday, the 9th, the moon goes void, of course, at 2:04 a.m. And it's void until it enters the sign of Virgo at 9:48 a.m. And once it does that, it is moving along with okay, let's roll up our sleeves and get to the work at hand attitude, because that's how Virgo wants to play it. So for some of us, especially those with strong earth in their horoscope, Saturn, a desire to work with your hands, this is going to be a day that feels very productive, very busy. The thing to keep in mind over these couple of days, even though they can be highly productive days, is that we want to avoid situations where we are expecting something from another that's not going to be delivered. So let me explain that a little better. Oftentimes not everyone, of course, some of us are better at this than others, but if you find yourself in situations where you see that you are depending on someone or expecting certain results that just are not going to come together, then it's better to assume that person is not going to deliver than assume they will. So Monday and Tuesday are really bringing into attention, do you have the right partnerships? Or another piece that this can look like, or another way that this can play, is that a person is used to taking on all the responsibility themselves. And we overbook. We say, oh, yes, I can handle that. Not a problem. Yeah, it'll get done. And we're not asking for help. Or if we are reaching out, we're reaching out to the wrong partners, or we're going to set ourselves up for disappointment. So you don't want to do that this day. Look at things with a keen Virgoan eye. The Virgos are so good at the details. And the details will let you know if that person is going to show up or not. And if you know the person is not, and you're just giving them the benefit of the doubt, or, in a darker way, setting yourself up to be disappointed or setting the person up to fail, don't go there. Don't allow that particular story to be your story. And we can avoid these stories. We can, when we pay attention and we just look at things very clear-eyed. So this is a way to approach Tuesday and Wednesday. Can be highly productive days as long as we don't set ourselves up for disappointment. And overall, moving into Thursday as well, the thing about this Virgo moon is in its final dance, it is in opposition to the planet Neptune. So that's before it leaves the sign of Virgo. And so when we look at what is the last dance, I call it, or the last aspect of the moon's travel before it leaves the sign, that indicates to us what longer range endeavors may be about. So, if you're actually launching something, or if you're involved with something that has an anticipated outcome, there can be a quality to it that's unknown, or that we are dreaming magical thinking, that we're thinking something is going to be a certain outcome that just is not in the realm of possibility. Or another way this can look is that we're not seeing something that is upfront and obvious because, well, we don't choose to see it, or it's just not something that's within our general mode of operation. These days with the moon in Virgo are going to work best for those of us who have meditation practices, who leave ourselves open or expectant for things that are not necessarily right there in front of us. Otherwise, we are going to miss nuances, possibilities, and then it can lead to confusion. So, the most important thing over these days in anything that involves communication is make sure you follow up. Make sure everyone understands. That's the other part about the knowing what the partner is doing, or choosing the right people for the outcome. So on the 11th, the moon goes void, of course, at 9:55 p.m. and it enters the sign of Libra at 10:06 p.m. Now, once it enters the Libra moon, we are in a period that is absolutely lovely for diplomacy, for mediation, for working through problems. It doesn't mean it's all going to be easy at all. But what it does mean is that the opportunity for connection, and I look at this even late into Thursday, the 11th, which, of course, depending on your time zone, will be earlier. But this can be a very rich time for making powerful connections. So, for people who are out late networking or connecting on Eastern time zone on the 11th, that's a very strong day. But also, if your time zone allows that it's earlier in the day, then take advantage of that, because these are really strong times. The piece to be aware of here, especially on the 12th, Friday, is that there's a picture in the sky between Venus and Pluto. Now, this picture, this picture indicates a very strong draw, or even being repelled by something that feels very powerful. So think of magnets. Think of when their poles are in the right direction, they click right into place. When they're in the opposite direction, they repel. They don't want anything to do with one another. And that's the very strong energy that is felt on Friday the 12th. It can be both. It can be one or the other. I mean, we've probably all met people that we felt a very strong pull to, but also something a little untoward about the person. Like, what is this? So it can be in the same person or the same situation, but it's incredibly powerful. Not everybody's going to feel this as strongly as others. Those who are going to feel it very, uh, very intensely are maybe people with strong Leo in their horoscope or fire signs, also strong placements between Venus and Pluto. It's very dynamic. It can be romantic, sexual, financial, or just some kind of power play. And it can be like boom, boom, very quick, or it can be something that has a longer range effect. And that will depend on the situation, the individual, and what's going on. But the thing to keep in mind is that there is a big emphasis on how we are communicating, understanding ourselves in the situation. And so it's really important to have that self-awareness over these days, well, especially Friday. And yes, there can be a feeling about it that goes on into Saturday. And as I said, it can have a long range effect depending on if something is actually initiated or engaged on this day. And the other thing that's going on is that there is a strong emphasis on opportunity on the 12th. So I see Friday the 12th as a very dynamic day. It's not an easy day because it's a day that those of us who are paying attention to what's going on, what's said, promises made, those who are really on are going to be able to move with this much more effectively than people who feel things are happening to them. So that's why, back to what I said originally at the beginning of this week, is do not be seduced into the thought that you are powerless. Even when we are in situations where we feel that there is nothing we can do, ideally, we still have power over how we receive the situation, how we process the information, and how we take care of ourselves within that experience. And most importantly, how we continue to hold a sense of light, hope, and potential. Friday after late afternoon, early evening, very strong opportunity times, especially for those of us who worked through or were aware of any push-pull confrontations or situations that might have derailed us earlier in the day. So on Saturday the 13th, the moon's still in the sign of Libra. It goes void, of course, at 6:49 p.m. Basically, this day up until that 6:49 p.m. Eastern time is a good day. It's the day that gives us the most bang for our buck over the week. It's pretty free and clear of some of these harder confrontation situations, challenges that we might have encountered. The caveat here is to take responsibility and to work with or engage with people who are responsible, who show up for you. That's the important thing on Saturday the 13th. Once the moon is void, of course, at 6:49 p.m., then basically I would say play, enjoy yourself, absorb cultural experiences. It's an evening that we want to relax and let our mind play. So Sunday the 14th, the moon is in Libra until it enters the sign of Virgo at 10:53 a.m. This is kind of a slow-moving morning with the moon void, of course. Void of course moon means that we're not really motivated to do anything that's going to have lasting power. So finish things up, clean off your desk, have a nice brunch, put things in order. The moon goes into Scorpio 10:53 a.m., and this is a highly dynamic period of time. It is one that is basically asking us to confront any demons that may be stopping us from really soaring or believing in true potential. And the moon in Scorpio it doesn't let us get away with stuff. It really asks us to dig into whatever is holding us back. And for those of us who do that on Sunday, we are set up for a very strong week. And now I turn it over to Susie.
Oh, and hopefully a very strong week for more self-reflection and more expansion. Okay, thank you so much, Pam. Let's jump in, everyone, to our meditation. So we're taking command of the mind. One of the really key points of meditation is to take command of the mind so that we're not having what is commonly called in the Buddhist world the monkey mind. I feel sorry for the monkeys that it's named after them. But monkey mind is where our thoughts are jumping all over the place. Just visualize like a monkey jumping from tree to tree, where it's very busy, where it's very consumed and engaged. And the opposite of that would be the mind that is peaceful, the mind that is not racing around and chasing thoughts, the mind that is still. And stillness here doesn't mean that the mind is dead, that the mind is not doing anything. The mind is actually, when it's in the stillness, it's engaged with what we might call ultimate expansion in all directions. So it's not blocked, it's not restricted, it's not hesitating, it's expanding in all directions. So it becomes really bigger. It becomes bigger than our thoughts. It becomes bigger, certainly, than our life, our perceptions. It's like tapping into a consciousness that is so much greater than what we think we are as individuals. So think of that stillness as more of an expansion into all that is in all directions. That everything exists, and at the same time, we kind of know that nothing really exists as well. We know that everything can be simply the creation, the conceiving, the receiving, the perceiving of this, our own mind stream. And one really great way to play with this is just to know that when we open our eyes and we see the world and we see what's happening, it's all happening through us. It's all happening through you, the individual. And you, the individual, come from everything that has made you what you are. So our eyes have a particular view. We have a particular lens. We have a particular way that we see the world based on everything that we have done and everything that we think, everything that we perceive. We are the result of everything that has come before this moment. So the way that we see the world, the way that we experience the world is highly individualized. Each one of us experiencing things in a vastly different way or a very, very subtle different way. And of course, this individual perception, this individual way that we see the world can also be changing in every single moment, every single time we take a breath, every single time we have a thought, every single time we have an experience. We also can be changing our view as well. Doing the things that make us happy, doing the things that literally increase our view, increase our perception, increase our bandwidth, increase our loving kindness, increase our compassion, are always changing our view. So we are able to change. We are able to take all of the lemons and turn them into lemonade. Just knowing this, knowing that we can change, knowing that we can change our experiences and our view is very, very strong. It is deeply empowering that we are not stuck, that we are not locked into any particular behavior, any particular perception or way of thinking, that we can constantly be growing, constantly be changing, pushing ourselves to be selfless, pushing ourselves to be more loving, no matter what the circumstances are, to keep ourselves in this state of loving kindness. And the more and more we see change around us, the more and more we see perhaps things that may be disturbing to us, as we see the world around us with all of the changes in climate, the socioeconomic statuses, all of the people that may be suffering, how important it is for us to keep our loving kindness in place, to not be drawn into the drama, to not be engaging in arguments of polarization, but to keep within our heart the understanding, the knowing that we are all here, brothers and sisters, on this very steep learning curve, that we are all here together, that as we come together, how much can we hold this loving kindness in our heart. And as we feel this ability within us, recognizing that it is always there within us, that this is a part of being a human, a very important part of being a human that might not always be emphasized, might not always be the guiding force in the world, but it is certainly our choice in every moment, in every way. And as we might feel the tug and the strong pull of our ego to do this or to do that, always remembering what is motivating us. What is really motivating us to do this, to say that, to be here, to be there? Really addressing ourselves, questioning ourselves. Where is my motivation coming from? And is it coming purely from loving kindness, not just towards myself, but towards all beings everywhere? Feeling that in our hearts, gently opening our eyes, feeling the incredible power of our own heart in this world now. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Pam, for our forecast for the week. I have definitely taken many notes for the week ahead, and I hope that we will see everyone next week for the next week of this year. Thank you so much, everyone. Love now.
You have been listening to Susie Mazzoli and Pamela Cuccinell of Insight Now. If you've enjoyed this program, consider a donation. A link for that at astrologyinsightnow.com. We invite you to join us again for next week's podcast. Please share with others who can benefit from insight, and have a stellar week.